That is not good. That is not good. All right, you may have heard the old adage, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and that might be helpful advice, but you know what it doesn't tell you? Where did the apple even come from? And to be honest with you, I have no idea. I've got no clue. Luckily, with a quick Google search, you find out pretty easily that apples actually come from apple trees. Who would have thought? But not every food origin story is that simple. Oh, by the way, my name is Will. I'm a college kid trying to share one interesting lesson about our world per week with my massive audience. So welcome to class. And this week we are learning about where some of our favorite foods come from or how they originally came to be. Why are we learning about this? Well, I think about food a lot during online class, so naturally I wanted to put these thoughts to good work and use them for this week's video. So here we are. Without further ado, let's learn about the humble beginnings of some classic foods with these 10 weird food origin stories that you might not know. And once you know these food origin stories, feel free to interrupt your friends' meals and tell them where their food comes from. That'll be fun. Okay, let's start. Number 10, pancakes. Kicking off the list with a fairly popular breakfast food, we of course have pancakes. Now, if you think about it, pancakes are not all that complex. To make them, you just need eggs, flour, butter, probably, sugar, some other stuff. Boom, you got pancakes. Seems easy enough, so I'm sure they've been around for at least a few centuries. Well, turns out pancakes have existed for thousands upon thousands of years. How do we know? Researchers found evidence of what we would call pancakes in the stomach of Otzi the Iceman, the name given to the human remains of a man who died over 5,000 years ago. Poor Otzi may have been the victim of a ritual sacrifice, which is kind of creepy. But thanks to him being mummified, we now know that pancakes have existed for thousands of years. So thank you, Otzi. Number 9, hot dogs. Hot dogs, an iconic American food that definitely was not created in America. I noticed that countries claiming food from other countries as their own is a big theme on this list. That's interesting. Anyways, the man who originally created hot dogs was a guy named Johann Well, I shouldn't even try that. We'll call him Johann G. So Johann G invented the smaller version of a typical German sausage, and he called them Frankfurters. Thank you for that, Johann G. But when did Frankfurters become the modern-day classic hot dogs? According to a popular theory, a college student who had a particular fondness for Frankfurters looked up their original German name and found out that they meant little dog. So he did what any of us college students would do. He started telling people that Frankfurters were made from dog meat. Over time, the name hot dog became popular for some reason, and has remained so to this day. Moral of the story is college kids really can change the world. Maybe not college YouTubers, but some college kids. Number 8, ketchup. If I made an entire video on condiments, maybe like ranking all the condiments, ketchup would be at the top of my list. It is the premier condiment. Call me basic, call me a child, I don't really care. Ketchup is 5 stars every day. But despite how good it is, I've got absolutely no clue where it comes from. I assume somebody at some point just mashed up some tomatoes and added sugar, I guess. Turns out ketchup actually originated in China. The word itself comes from the Hokkien Chinese word ketchup. Ketchup came from southeastern China and was a sauce made from fermented fish. Not really the same as our modern version of ketchup, but we do have Henry Heinz to thank for that. You could say Heinz really helped the recipe catch up. Sorry, I promise no more puns. Number 7, chili. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not a big fan of chili personally, but this was probably one of the more interesting origin stories I've found, and I've got to keep you entertained, so here goes nothing. Apparently, there is a Native American legend that says a nun from Spain was responsible for the first ever chili recipe. She was called the Lady in Blue, and she had the ability to leave her physical body behind, enter a trance, and appear all across the world to speak with people from various societies. Supposedly, on one of these journeys, she compiled the first chili recipe and brought it back with her to Spain. Story might be a little suspicious, but it's chilling, chillying, nonetheless. That pun doesn't make any sense. Okay, forget all that. Speaking of chilling, number 6, Popsicles. In the amazing year of 1905, an 11-year-old kid named Frank Epperson made his daily sugar drink, just some soda powder mixed with water, nothing special. Actually, kind of sounds really gross. By chance, he left his drink outside where it was freezing with his stirring stick left inside the cup. The next morning, he found his frozen drink still sitting on the porch, and and essentially the first ever popsicle had been made. Frank made more popsicles, shared them with his friends, and 18 years later he began to sell them for a profit. So yeah, that's nice to know. Really encouraging. An 11-year-old invented popsicles. When I was 11, I was just eating popsicles. Not really anything else. That was it. Number 5, the sandwich. Once again, we have an item on the list that I don't really care about. I kid you not, my order at any sandwich place is 2 pieces of bread and some salami in the middle. Anything else is just too much stuff in one place. Anyways, origin story. One day in the 1700s, the 4th Earl of Sandwich, John Montagu, was too lazy to use utensils. Some say that he was busy gambling. Others claim he was deep in his earl work. Either way, he couldn't handle a typical meal. So he ordered his servants to bring him some meat slapped between 2 bread slices, and just look what the Earl's laziness did for the world. From now until the end of time, the sandwich will live on as the go-to meal for anybody who doesn't have time for anything else. Just a legacy of laziness. Not bad, Earl of Sandwich. Not bad at all. Number 4, Caesar salad. You guessed it, while he wasn't busy leading armies or ruling over Rome, Julius Caesar casually whipped up some ingredients and created the most iconic salad of all time. Glad he remembered to write down the recipe. False facts. This famous salad was actually invented in Mexico in 1924 by Italian immigrant Cesar Cardini. Cardini was the owner of a restaurant, and on one busy day, he was running low on ingredients and was forced to make a salad with the random assortment he still had. Romaine lettuce, croutons, Parmesan cheese, special sauce, just that magical combination. His patrons were blown away, and the greatest salad of all time was born. So you tell me which Caesar did more for the world, Julius or Cardini? Definitely the salad guy. Number 3, graham crackers. This iconic s'more ingredient was inspired by the preaching of Presbyterian minister Sylvester Graham. Graham preached during the 19th century temperance movement, and he believed that minimizing all lust and pleasure while eating a strictly vegetarian diet was the way God wanted people to live. Graham actually gained a sizable following, and his followers, the Grahamites, constituted one of the earliest American vegetarian groups. Graham bread, Graham flour, and of course Graham crackers were all made for the Grahamites. So I guess every time you eat a graham cracker, you're paying your respects to the earliest American vegetarians and Graham's spiritual movement. Truly a heavenly snack. Number 2, French fries. While French fries have been perfected by American fast food chains, they obviously did not come from America. But apparently, they're not even from France. So who gets the credit? Belgium. Yep, good old Belgium, they get the credit for French fries. But why? Well, villagers by the Meuse River fried fish throughout the year as a primary food source. When the river froze in the winter, the villagers would fry potatoes instead. Eventually, some U.S. soldiers came across these villagers, and since many people in that area only spoke French, they named the villagers' meal French fries. Disrespectful. I speak for the Belgiumese. What are people from Belgium called? Belgians. I knew that. Belgians. I speak for the Belgians. They're taking fries back. Next time you order fries, order Belgian fries. Do what's right. Number 1, chocolate chip cookies. You know we had to finish this list with a dessert, probably one of the greatest desserts of all time. Also, if you watched this entire video, thank you so much for not deserting. Alright, so why do chocolate chip cookies exist? Ruth Wakefield ran the Toll House Inn in Massachusetts. One day she realized she was out of baking chocolate to bake her chocolate butter cookies, so she improvised. She happened to have a block of Nestle semi-sweet chocolate on hand, and she cut it into little chunks to use as a substitute in the cookies. The chunks held their form, and so the first ever batch of chocolate chip cookies were made. And with that story wrapped up, my 3rd ever facts video is now finished. Thank you all for tuning in this week. And if this is the first video of mine that you have seen, and if you had a good time learning something new, please consider subscribing to learn some facts with a college kid. All right, I have homework. I will see you around campus. Still not good. I don't care where it comes from.